A woman can learn a lot from a hug. Not from your words, not from how you dress, not from anything you say before or after, but from that one brief moment when your bodies are close enough for her to feel your presence. In just a few seconds, she decides whether you feel grounded, whether you feel safe, whether you feel awkward, or whether you carry that quiet kind of confidence that stays with her long after the hug is over. And the truth is, most men never realize how much is happening in that moment. They treat a hug like a formality, something you do quickly and forget. But a real hug is never meaningless. It is a silent exchange. It tells her how comfortable you are with closeness, how much tension you carry, and whether you know how to move with calm control instead of nervous pressure. Today, I want to break down 4 small things that can completely change the way a woman experiences a hug. Because when you understand them, you stop being forgettable and start becoming someone she actually feels. The first thing is the anchor touch. Most men hug like they are greeting a coworker. Quick arms around the shoulders, a light tap. Then they pull away as if the moment itself is something to rush through. That kind of hug does nothing. It feels polite, but it does not leave an impression. If you want her to feel your presence, one of your hands needs to land with intention. Place it firmly on her upper back, right between her shoulder blades, and let it stay there with a calm, steady pressure. Not aggressive, not awkward, not hesitant. Just solid. That spot matters because it signals stability. It tells her body, without a single word, that you are not frantic, you are not uncertain, and you are not afraid of closeness. When a man hugs with that kind of grounded contact, it changes the whole experience. It gives the moment weight. It makes the hug feel held instead of rushed. And that difference is powerful, because women notice when a man feels centered in his own body. They notice when his touch feels deliberate instead of clumsy. They notice when being in his arms creates a feeling of calm instead of tension. That single point of contact, placed with confidence, can say more than an entire conversation. The second thing is timing. Most men release too fast. They go in, touch, and pull back almost instantly, usually because they are nervous, or because they are trying not to seem too forward. But that slight rush is exactly what makes the hug feel empty. When you hold her just a little longer than expected, you change the entire emotional signal. Not by a lot. Not in a way that feels forced. Just enough for the moment to breathe. That tiny pause says you are comfortable there. It says you are not desperate to escape the intimacy, and you are not clinging to it either. You are simply present. And presence is what makes a moment memorable. There is a huge difference between a hug that feels automatic and a hug that feels intentional. In one, she feels like she was passed through a social routine. In the other, she feels your calm attention. That extra beat gives the hug texture. It creates tension, but the good kind. The kind that makes her aware of your energy without making her uncomfortable. A woman may not consciously analyze that half second, but she feels it. Her body notices it before her mind does. And once that happens, the moment lingers. She walks away remembering the feel of it, wondering why it seemed different. And that small mystery is often what makes someone stay in her mind. The third thing is your breathing. This is one of the most overlooked parts of physical presence, yet it changes everything. If you hold your breath when you hug her, she feels that tension immediately. It makes the moment stiff, like your body is bracing for impact instead of relaxing into connection. But when you take a slow, controlled exhale, something shifts. Your whole energy becomes steadier. Your chest loosens. Your body stops feeling defensive. And that calm movement tells her subconscious that you are comfortable with intimacy, that you are not overthinking the moment, and that you are fully inside it instead of standing outside of it in your own head. People underestimate how strongly calm breathing affects the atmosphere between two bodies. When you exhale slowly, the hug starts to feel softer, warmer, and more natural. It creates a kind of emotional sync. She relaxes because you relax. She settles because you are settled. That matters more than most men realize because women are extremely sensitive to nervous energy. They can feel when a man is trying too hard, when he is uncertain, when he is performing. But when your breathing is slow and steady, the entire interaction feels more grounded. It gives the hug a quiet confidence. And that confidence is often what makes her feel safe enough to open up emotionally. A calm man creates a calm moment, and a calm moment is often the one she remembers. The fourth thing is the subtle face contact. This is the detail that turns a good hug into a deeply memorable one. When you hug her, let your head turn just slightly so her cheek brushes against yours for a brief second. Not enough to feel forced, not enough to make it strange, just enough to feel intimate in a natural way. The face is personal. It is vulnerable. It is not where casual contact usually happens. That is why even the smallest brush of the cheek can shift the feeling of the entire embrace. It takes the hug from friendly to personal, from ordinary to quietly charged. And when done smoothly, it makes the moment stay with her. She may not understand exactly why it felt different, but she will remember it. She may replay it later in her mind and wonder whether it was intentional, whether you meant something by it, or whether she imagined the shift herself. That tiny bit of uncertainty is what makes the moment stick. It creates curiosity. It creates awareness. It creates that subtle feeling that something just happened between the two of you, even if nothing was spoken. And that is the real power of a well-timed, well-held hug. It does not force anything. It simply creates space for attraction to be felt instead of announced. When you put all four together, the effect becomes much stronger than any single detail on its own. You move in with purpose. You place your hand with confidence on her upper back. You hold the moment just a little longer. You exhale slowly and stay relaxed. And then you let the cheek contact happen naturally as you begin to release. None of it needs to look dramatic. In fact, the best version should look effortless. It should feel like a man who is comfortable in his own body, comfortable with closeness, and comfortable allowing a moment to breathe without rushing through it. That is what makes it magnetic. Women do not respond to pressure, and they do not respond well to men who look like they are trying to prove something. They respond to calm control. They respond to a man whose touch feels intentional, whose presence feels steady, and whose body language tells them he knows exactly who he is. That kind of hug creates a different kind of memory. It makes her feel understood without needing an explanation. It makes her feel closer without being pushed. And it leaves behind a quiet impression that lasts longer than the moment itself. So the next time you hug a woman, do not treat it like something mechanical. Do not rush it, do not overthink it, and do not try to force chemistry. Just focus on the details that matter. Lead with calm confidence. Use your hand to create a sense of stability. Hold the moment long enough for it to register. Breathe like a man who is comfortable being there. And let the slightest brush of the cheek give the hug a more personal edge. When you do those things right, the hug stops being just a hug. It becomes a feeling. And that feeling is what makes a woman remember you, think about you, and feel something a little deeper than she expected.